Brown. Who are you, Jon Brown?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks, Darren, for having me. Really looking forward to being here. And yeah, a little bit about myself. So in business, started JB Custom Drywall about 15 years ago, and started off really just doing everything myself. And I did the sales, I did the work, I did everything myself. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I'd go until 11, 12 at night every single day while having a family. So, they really weren't always, the happiest with me. And so that's when I realized I needed to really have a change. And that's when I reached out to Darren. And so that's kind of where our relationship started. And that was the first step of me really understanding the different aspects of business. What you need to have systems, and there was so much that went with that. But a little bit more about me, personally, I married. I have 4 kids. Last 15 years, it's just been awesome to see, how much I've grown in business and personally. And really, it did start off with Darren just kind of, building the foundation for me. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right, so you're a drywall company, all right, and doing drywall all your own, sales, everything your own, and you took on a partner, Bill. So why did you, so you go from by yourself and then you got Bill. What was that sort of like at the time?
Yeah, so at the time I decided to partner up with someone. I did drywall repairs. That's what I did. I worked for actually a family company doing drywall repairs, and I was always really just wanting more, super motivated to do more. So I was doing side jobs all the time, and I met Bill on a job. He was working on the same job, and he was also doing drywall in a different area. And I was like, yeah, I needed some help. So that's really how it started with Bill, and I knew that I continued to get more work. So that was really the only reason I decided to have a partner.
Okay. And you guys split it 50-50?
Yep.
Okay, so at the time, what were your thoughts behind, because there's a story behind this. So what made you decide to give half of your company away to him at the time?
To be honest with it was me not really knowing anything. It was me, hey, we're doing the work together. Let's just have a 50-50 agreement, and that was really it at that time.
Okay, good. And then, so how did you guys, so one of the things when we started was, and I don't know, how many people are partners in the room, or do we have any partners? Okay, so good. All right, so,
Another business.
Got it, okay.
Because you can't have just one.
Okay. In the 50-50 role, usually you split things up. One person is the CEO, does more of the sales, and another person does the more operations side. And how did you guys split your business up?
Yeah, so it was really me doing, getting the work. So I was, I guess I would say I was doing the sales and the marketing, and then he was doing the performing the work. So, and I still, if I had time, I would be on the job site too at that time. So I'd do the cold calling. I'd find different contractors, stop at their office, meet them, and then Bill would be performing the work. So that's how it started.
And what set you guys apart? Because I loved your whole philosophy. Because you think about drywall. If you guys think about drywall, what's the first thing you think about? Dusty. Is it like it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's all over the place? Yeah. What separated you guys from everyone else?
Yeah, so right away, we knew, we needed to be different, and how can we be different in drywall? And we're the clean drywall. We're gonna put the plastic tents. We're gonna use a vacuum sander, and so that was really the first thing that separated us. And in the drywall industry, there's so many people, and we both were in the industry for so long and saw what the companies we were in at the time were doing, and it was just little things like just walking and having dust on your shoes and seeing it like footprints out from on the sidewalk, and it was just that was the kind of stuff where we decided we're going to focus on we're different because we're going to be clean and we're going to clean up. Is there still dust? Yeah, but everything's going to look perfectly clean, and at the end of our projects.
Okay, and then because of that, you ended up, going from 2 of you to fast forward. Where are you now?
Yeah, so right now we acquired a couple different companies, but we're at about 100 total employees.
Oh, wow. I'm not expecting that.
About 100. Yeah.
Sort of set it up. That was sort of the. All right, good. Okay, so now 100. You go from 2 to 100, and then how is the relationship with Bill now?
Yeah, so now I bought Bill out of the company. So Bill's no longer in the company.
So what was the sort of looking at the trajectory of you and Bill and saying you gave away because you didn't know half the company, and then why was there a need to buy him out over time?
So it really came down to vision. It really was about, I was super motivated to continue to scale, and he wanted to just, there just was a difference in the motivation too. It was like, once we scaled and we set up these systems, then like he didn't really know what to do anymore. And we're just such different personalities that, he was great at performing the work, but just mindset and vision was just off. So he's actually started his own company. He's doing the work himself. He's a one-man show. That's what he wanted to do. And that gives him satisfaction.
Yeah, it gets him up in the morning.
Yeah.
He's a drywaller. He loves to drywall. And so he does, like, for him to grow a 100-person company is not going to wake him up. All right. And that means that if he's not working, he doesn't get paid. He's okay with that. That's his challenge. Is that okay for him?
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. But for you, once you set the systems up and it's scaling and you're crushing drywall, then what was next for you once the systems were in place?
Yeah. How do I do it again? How do I do it again? How do I do it with another company? How do we get better? And that's what has been so awesome and exciting, because at every stage in business, it's always been something where, there's frustration. There's different challenges. But what I love about it is when you look back, I look back 2 years and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I've solved all these problems. Now I have new problems. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be challenges. And if you stay motivated, you keep going, you will have success. That's the one thing, there are so many different times in business where I've hit a ceiling and it's like, you're going to feel like I want to quit. There's going to be times where you're just like so down. I've been there. And the best thing for me is we just keep going. You set that with your culture and you keep going no matter what. And then you can look back and like, wow, like look at where we are, and we got rid of it. Now we have new challenges now, but we've gotten so much better.
You fell in love with the process.
Yes, absolutely.
In love. Like, love it.
Yeah.
So $400,000 is what you made when I first met you.
Yeah.
And what was your target, growth number that you could see when we first met? Do you remember?
Oh, I remember. So I remember, yeah, we sat in the room and let's just give your best. What could you do? And I remember, and I think you kind of helped me. Why? Anything is possible. I remember that, you could set anything. And what we put is we said, a 10-year target of, we're going to do 10 million in revenue. And 2 years ago, I hit that.
Okay.
It's just, I didn't know, I looking at that and I was like, that's so far away. That's impossible, but we hit it. And I think I think it's really important to set those, the way that I look at it, I always like a 10-year target, a 10-year, a 3-year, and then a 1 year. I kind of look at it in those stages. And so the 10-year is like the big thing out there. And then you have your 3-year and your 1 year. That's how I've always looked at it.
Okay, awesome. And if you say, okay, you have got these other businesses, from where you started now, let's say you were starting out today because you've lost all of that. You just have nothing. You got to start from today. Which I say this, in a year he'd be back up to $1 million in a year, and he'd be in the same spot within a 5-year period. He'd be right back. What are the things you would give or advice to say, hey, I'm going to do these core things to get there? What are the core things?
So I think it's structure to begin with. I think one of the most important things is, starting out is, like I said, I was doing everything. I was doing sales, waking up. I think it's letting go and putting someone in place. Like, as hard as that is, like, you have to grow, to scale, you have to put people in place. And you have to, you can do all the planning, but there's a time you have to let go of the vine. You have to let go, and that would be my number one thing is that, you just have to try, and like, if it doesn't, it might not work. The person might not be the right person that you put in place. You try to do everything, but you have to let go, because the more you get, I was doing that, I was micromanaging things, and actually that's something I still struggle with. Like, when things get tough, pull stuff back in. Like, you have to let people do their job. It empowers them. Hey, check in with them, but let them do their job. And I think that's probably the number one thing I would say.
Okay, what's number two? What else?
Number two, I would say, really write everything down. Write everything down that you do, so that you can figure out the things that you can take off of your plate. And so I think that's the first start. That's the first part of developing processes, is looking. For me, everything that I do, I write that all down. What are things that I can easily take off of that? And so I think that's super important. And as you scale, every single process should be, there should be like what we have is we have like the JV sales process, the JV operations process, the marketing process, every single thing, it's always changing, but all of this stuff needs to be written down. And it needs to be checked annually, or probably more than that. But that would be the next thing I would say is definitely writing everything down. Start putting processes in place.
Failure. Sure, you have it. You had a marriage failure. You had other failures. It's just part of our process. How do you approach failure? Because I'm sure, do you still lose sleep at night sometimes?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that's part of the process. All right. How do you handle failure? What's your approach to failure?
I think for me, the approach to failure it was how I was raised from my dad. It was something where it's like the Rocky Balboa mentality. Like, life hits you, you just keep on, and you keep moving forward. And that's really been, over time, it's just like, this is going to pass. I'm going to keep following the process. I'm going to keep moving forward. The times that I've gotten, I've had so many failures personally in business, and just keep moving forward that's for me the one thing that I feel like is why I continue to get through things.
So no matter what, doesn't matter, feeling bad, overcome, blah, 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 hurt, whatever it is, emotionally, whatever it is, you just keep going.
Yeah.
You're gonna win because you're just gonna keep grinding.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Because people think it's just like, it's some magic formula. It isn't. It's just surviving. And sometimes you just are in long enough, you keep grinding, you're gonna win because you're gonna outlast other people, which is so awesome.
The only other thing I wanted to mention to that, so I've been in places where I've been really tough financially in business, where I made some really bad business decisions. And so keep moving forward in that. You also need to communicate. Like for me, it was like vendors looking, I made a really bad decision or I got screwed. I didn't get paid on a job,
What? Somebody didn't get paid on a job? Like, all right, good. We just talked about the others. That's good.
Yeah. But talking to your vendors, saying, hey, this is what happened. This is where I'm at. I made a mistake. Being honest, facing it, like, this is where I'm at. I mean, even with employees, like, hey, we're struggling right now. What are we gonna do? Like, that brings people together to try to get through the issue. And so the couple times that I feel like I haven't like been open is where like then people don't know. They don't know how to help. Everyone wants to. You have a culture. You have a team. You're going to face challenges. Be open. Be honest. And people will want to help you succeed or give you time to pay off or come up with a payment plan. That's just part of business. I've gone through that so many times. Even now, like it's a roller coaster. It's the same as life.
Okay, so you seem like a go-getter. You're grinding, you're putting in. You say your dad is that person that sort of is like that. I understand within the last year you've lost your dad. And what effect did that have on you being the go-getter, grinder? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was super. That was a thing that was just, probably the biggest challenge I faced in life was losing my dad. And it was crazy because I needed time. I was not in my business. I was grieving, and the people around me stepped up and just took care of me, and I needed and I was worried. I'm like, am I gonna be different forever? Like, am I gonna lose this like grind? I mean, at the time, I just wanted to be around my family. And
so like not going into work, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I mean, I didn't go into. I probably went in like once a week for like 2 months,
and off. So could not work. Like just going through that process.
Yeah.
And for you, like how often do you go into work now? Like
I'm still. I'm an obsessive person. I mean, if my wife would let me, I'd be in at 4 a.m. still. But I try to have a balance. Balance is super important. But yeah, I'm in every day.
Every day, we want to be at 4 o'clock. Want to leave. Last person to leave. Like that's just who you are.
Yeah.
But during this time frame, you're going in once a week. Not really, just didn't feel it. Not the motivation. Was
not calling people back. Yeah, it was super tough. But like I said, it was awesome that we had a team in place. We had a structure in place, and people stepped it up. And everyone, like, I didn't even call people back. I didn't even let them know. It was my team because they were like, "What's going on with Jon?" So and all of a sudden, they just took care of everything. And I came back and saw the numbers. Am I not that important? You're still making money.
Nice.
And so you come back, so you realize, oh my gosh, I got a great team, got a good structure in place where we built, and so now you took time off and said, forget I don't need to be here, or you just went right back into working?
Yeah. I mean, it was like a slow process, but I got back into it, and now I'm back having this, the same thing. What's the next thing? What's the next thing I'm going to do? So it's just kind of who I am. Is like I don't ever want to stop growing, and I think that's something important in business too. No matter what, in growing is different. It's not always about revenue. It's not but how are we getting better from the day before? And that's what I love is looking at that. Like I said, looking back a couple of years ago, how am I different? How is the company different?
So how do you maintain the balance then? Because it's easy to then lose your spouse, relationship with your children, all those things. If you're so obsessed with this, how do you maintain that balance?
Yeah, I go to therapy every week, and I have to with my wife, and honestly, it's like I'm OCD. I have all these different things. Whatever I do, I'm obsessed about, and so it's like I know 8 to 9 o'clock every Thursday morning we have therapy, and we have just like business. That's what a relationship. That's what I do with my relationship too. That's how I need to do it because I need to have like numbers, and I need to have like the KPIs. Like I have to tell myself I'm going to text my wife. I need to text her 5 times a day. We have to do 1 date night a week. We have all these things, and I have to have a structure for that as well. So that's how I'm able to balance. Sometimes I lose it a little bit, and but every week I go back in and the therapist is like, well, how'd you do with your KPIs, your key performance indicators?
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
I am just so moved by what you just shared, right? The idea of a guy working in the trade, right? In that industry specifically, I've spent a lot of time in that space in a different capacity, and I'm just like, kudos to you for saying that out loud in a room full of strangers. Well done, sir.
All right, and if you have questions, go ahead and just be write down your answers. We got about 5 more minutes, and then we'll go into the Q&A portion. So, all right, so you're doing very intentionally. You've been married now to Steph for?
It'll be 10 years in January.
Wow. Okay, so 10 years, and then your children are now. So you got the ages.
So I've got 4 kids. I've got 19 freshmen in college. I've got 17 senior in high school, and then 15 a freshman in high school, and then 14 in 8th grade.
Okay, so
we're a blended family.
Yes. So given that, what's next for you? Like, what is your next sort of? You say a 10-year goal. You've hit your 10 million. What's next for you?
Yeah. So I mean, right now I acquired a couple other companies, and I'm looking to scale those, and so I have different goals with that in business. I have different things personally I want to do. Some bucket list trips with my wife that I want to do. Fiji. We already did it. We want to travel. Really want to travel the world. We got to Asia last year. We have never been to Europe, so want to hit all of this stuff in the next 10 years.
Okay, so you got some travel things. You've got so that's family wise. What about like you're still working? Do you work out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like anything, whatever I do, I get obsessed with. So, after my dad, or actually it was kind of like running. I was gonna, running a marathon, running a half marathon. So those are things that I do. I always get into something. I don't have anything right now, but I do work out. I love to have, things that I can look at. And that's why I love like running or biking, because it's like it's a time I can get better. Like, so, or like, how much can I, lift weights? Like, so it's whatever it is that's how I motivate myself. But yeah, there's always, again, I don't have anything right now as far as like, workout goals, but that could change tomorrow.
All right, so thank you. All right, does anyone have any questions you have for John? Okay,
can you describe a typical day or?
Yeah, so for me, what I love doing, so for a while I called myself a visionary. So I was looking at the companies and really working on like the culture, doing one-on-ones with different employees. So that was what I used to do. What my real passion is, I love doing sales. So I put myself back in sales. So I'm just a sales guy for JB, and I love that. So that's what I do every day. Is I spend about half of my day in sales, and then the other half is just in the office, talking about planning. What are we going to do with this company? What pieces? How are we going to move pieces? Looking at the numbers financially. So that's really my day is half in sales and half just managing.
Is a lot of your client referral or return work?
Oh yeah. There's it's some. I mean, we track everything too. So there are so many. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but yeah. I mean, we do so many jobs, like 5, 6, being in business for almost 15 years, there's customers we've done 10 jobs for. So yeah, a lot of return work, but we're always looking to grow too.
Like builders and people that.
Oh yeah, and I was talking about like homeowner direct. I mean, builders. Yeah, I mean, we've been working with the same builders for 15 years. Yeah.
Oh, me, okay.
So one question I have for you, are you open to mentoring people? I have a friend who is a family man like you, and he's really serious about contracting and all those things. And he's a great guy, and I just think he needs a little bit more direction.
Absolutely. I mean, I love doing that. I love coming to something like this. So anywhere I can help anyone, like I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean.
So I'll make sure we get your contact information. It'll be sent out to you, definitely. Yeah. Yes.
At that point where you wrote everything, or you knew that you couldn't do it all, and you wrote everything down, what were the things you took off your plate? What were some of the tires?
The first thing, that was a long time ago. The first things that I really took off of my plate were being on the job site. Just trusting at the time was Bill was running it. I didn't need to be there. I trusted him. Why am I going to the job site? So I think that was probably the first thing that I really took off of my list. And then the other thing was, so it started off with everything came to my phone. And that was like the scariest thing for me to let go was, so the office line is my old cell phone, and like me not being able to pick up every single call. I mean, I know it sounds kind of weird, but like that was the toughest thing for me to give up. And having, like at the time, my wife picking up the phone. So those were, I would say, that were the two biggest things.
How did you transition out of it? Did you just get a new phone and a new number for yourself?
Yeah.
I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Just so trying to understand your background, were in the trades? Is that how so you didn't have any type of financial background or anything before you decided that, hey, I'm just gonna go launch my own business?
Zero. So I worked for my uncle, the family business, summers of high school and college. And then I was super motivated. I took a couple of classes at WCTC, and then I just started without knowing anything.
So would you consider yourself an academic?
No.
Okay.
So, and I just wanted to understand how you transitioned, because, well, it gives me hope since I'm kind of, stupid when it comes to some of the operation stuff.
And a lot of us are. Like, a lot of us aren't, and like not wouldn't consider. I know he's really brilliant, but he wouldn't consider himself smart at all. Remember, he's talking about his daughter, and his daughter, like, what were you saying about, you were bragging about her, how she's done in school?
Yeah, she runs circles around me and everything. If I have a question, she even helps me, like, what do you think we should do with this marketing? I mean, she's a senior in high school, so yeah.
How's she doing her ACT?
Yeah, she did amazing at 32.
So, but understand that, like, a grinder, and like, I don't care about the academic, all that other stuff. It's like, I'm gonna win. Because if you were competing against your daughter, would she really beat you in something?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone has it. It's about the drive.
It's a drive. That drive, and it does not matter. All that other stuff is that, you may have other things that make you better. I'm gonna win because I'm gonna outgrind you, that's a key performance indicator. Yes.
Okay, a couple of things, and on that note, as I'm listening to you, and this goes for everyone in this room, I believe, when you talk about grinding, I think that even when I was working for other people, I treated their businesses like they were my own. And I have a couple of girlfriends who, if they stay an extra hour on one day, they're like, well, I'm gonna make that up over here. I've never thought that way. I've always been.
You're an entrepreneur. And that's the crazy thing that you say is, I have people that, work for me, and I'm like, you're not an employee, you're an entrepreneur. And I always say that too. We probably have 15 people in our company that I'm like, you're not an employee.
You can tell that right away.
Yeah.
And so I guess that kind of feeds into my next question. Like, when you were, and this might be hard because it was a while ago, but in the beginning, I have dreams of building and adding and fears of letting go. Could you have even envisioned, did you have a vision of 100 employees, or how do you get there?
I mean, it was a dream. I mean, did I think, I grinded.
If I could answer, no.
Yeah. No.
He did not. When we were talking like 2 million, it was like 2 million. How in the world am I gonna get to 2 million? And then it's like, but John, here's what you do. Oh, boom. And he's the type of person, once you set the goal in front of him, he's not going to stop till he hits that thing. And then it's like, oh, well, you have to do sales. You got to primary focus on sales. He's like, oh, really? He became the best salesperson. That's what he do. Like, it's like once he decides that's the thing, he's gonna do that. And once it locks in, you can see he can't think other than that's just the way he thinks. So it's hard to think otherwise. So if you're not like singularly focused on that thing and you put all your energy toward that thing, then yeah, you're gonna, like that's what makes him so successful, is that hyper focus on the thing, whatever it is. So seeing it, you only see as far as you can see. That's one of the issues that we all have, and it's hard to do something. If you can't see it, you're not gonna be able to go for it. But if you can get someone to get you, and he's a very trustworthy person. So when we started working, it's like, okay, Darren, like the first thing we did the first day was, you have two of you, one of you needs to be operations, one person needs to be sales. He was like, okay. So they split it up, and he did it. And he's like, okay, so this is how we're gonna measure your success. Okay. Started going that route. And then it was like, I get to 2 million, then 10 is just like, I'll see 10. So it's just sort of that singularly focused mindset to be able to go for it. But you gotta write it down and see it in order to do it. Yes.
Yeah, I hear something in this conversations that you're sharing with us, that you are, Jon, very coachable, right? Like Darren, you immediately recognize that this guy will do the things that I want him to do, right?
100%.
You also had people to split with, right? So for some of us in the room, we are solopreneurs right now, right? So how can that translate? Like, I don't have a person to split with. I can't do that, right? Can you take us through maybe some thinking of if that had been you and it was just you when you had met Darren? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah.
You had Bill at one point.
Yeah, I think it would have just been something where I would have looked at, looking at the processes and then thinking about, who do I need to bring on? Do I need to bring someone on? When am I ready to bring someone on? Like looking into that, I think that's really what it is, and that's really what it's about to scale is starting out, like looking at your numbers, what you can afford, and when is the time to bring someone on. So I'm gonna just I'll
go ahead.
All right. One other thing I wanted to like mention. I'm always looking at people in my life, family, friends, who could be a good fit in the business. I mean, there's so many people that I know. 5 years ago, my brother-in-law was he was very similar to me with his drive, and I was like, I don't know where you'd go, and he didn't even have any background in construction, and I was just like, I worked on him for like 2 years. I'm like, you need to come on. And he's now our general manager. He came in from the ground. He came in we had a plan. I didn't realize, in 2 years, he became the general manager, and he is killing it. He's doing everything. He's just the same as me. And funny story, when it comes to, he actually beat me in sales last year, and it's like, more sales than me. And so it kills me. I'm like so upset. It's like I'm everyone's like, that should be I'm happy about it, but I'm like, yeah, he beat me in sales. I'm beating him this year.
So one of the things I think you have mentioned is that when you did split, you took the sales and you got someone else to do the operations, and then you let that part go. Even though you let it go, you never let it go. Then eventually you're like, so the thing you do, if you're an architect, it's not architecting. If you are doing home sales, you can't home sell. Like the thing you do is your core, you gotta give that thing up, because sales is the thing you can do more of. You can get more people to do the work, but sales is the harder part to really outsource. So that is the sort of, if you're looking to do something, getting sales out of your particular, having sales be your thing and getting whatever you do out of that. Like you own a coffee shop. you can't, if you're in the coffee shop being the barista and you're sweeping floors, you're doing that stuff, you can't scale. So you gotta like from day one build it that way. Okay, good.
What other businesses do you have?
So, well, first off, we rebranded. So it started off as a drywall company, and then now we're a GC. So over time, it was kind of just a natural progression that we.
What's a GC?
General contractor.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we had customers, it kind of started where you guys you did a great job with drywall. What about paint? Do you have anyone you can refer to? What about finished carpentry? So over time, I just started adding different things to our company. So now we in-house we do framing, insulation, drywall, paint, finished carpentry, tile. We have one tile guy. So that was that. As far as other companies, we acquired another painting company, Walters Painting. So was in process of acquiring another remodeling contractor, but that fell through. So it's just right now it's not JB Custom Drywall, it's just JB Custom.
Love it.
I'm going to take you back just a minute. So I heard you say you gave away half your company when you hired or brought Bill in as a partner. But I also don't hear that from you that Bill was like a mistake, and I don't know Bill. So, but would you do that again? And what would you recommend? I think I've heard early on partnership helps you launch, but later on your visions might diverge. But I'm just wondering what your view of that partnership is now.
That's a great question. I think that's really tough because I look at how much I had to pay him to get him out of the 50%. So
yeah, but
at the time, I don't regret any of the decisions I made because that's what got me here. And like looking at it, it's like I think I would have been successful either way. But at that time, I needed him, and so at that time, that was the right decision for me. Looking back on it, like, would I do it again? At the time, that's what I needed. So, yeah.
Yes.
So my question is, your 10-year goal was 10 million. How long did it take you to get there? And then, you might have hit on this before, but to get there, you have to grow. How do you know when you're ready to grow? I mean, looking at the numbers, yes, but are there other things? And then, did you make mistakes in your growth to get there? So it's kind of like, how long did it take to get to the 10 mil? And then kind of, how did you get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was 8 years. 8 years from 400,000 to 10 million. I hit so many points where like I didn't have the right systems in place, or what am I doing wrong? I mean, so many times I went through challenges and where I had upset customers because I tried to, I said yes, and I wanted, I had this revenue goal, and so I'd say yes, I'm going to figure out how to do it, and again, the reason I feel like I got through it is because I was always accountable to the builder, to the customer, and open and honest. Like, I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to get into this, I'm making mistakes. So I think that's where, people would give me a little bit of slack, and then I figured, we would have, so what we use, it's called it's called EOS is what we use and so and we have a meeting every single week, and we have an issues list. And so, like, here's all the issues, and our management team, as a management team, we discuss that. And this is what we can do, and this is the issue. We discuss it. We figure out a way to solve the problem. And I think that's really how we got through these barriers. Is, do I need to? And at times it was sometimes just calling and saying sorry to people and being open and honest, like I said. But I think really the scaling part of it is, it's painful. It's going to be painful at times. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to lose money, but you keep going, and that's that's the key. Did I answer the question okay? Okay.
And then we had, did you have one last
question? You said you spent half of your day in sales, and we talk about sales a lot. I'm kind of new to all this. What, just like generally, what does that mean when you're doing sales?
Yeah, so the sales that I take are for like homeowner direct jobs. So like for me, I'm going into a customer who wants to frame their basement or wants to do a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel. So I'll take half of my day just doing that's the sales that I do. We have different sales guys like focus on the commercial or focus on the builders, but that's what I do.
So how do you get into the basement?
How do you meet your customer? How do you meet your customer? How do you get that lead? Lead generation.
Okay, so yeah, we have a marketing company that we work. I mean, at first it was all just word of mouth. It was like this guy did a great job. Now we have our marketing guy. We work with a company actually called Keystone Click.
Okay.
I met them through years ago, and so they do different marketing campaigns, and our phone rings off the hook, and
going back. Let's say you are like, because it seems like you and Bill are now doing exactly what you did when I met you. So you're doing sales, and he's doing drywall, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Circle. But let's just say you're like, okay, I don't have any leads. I have nothing. No one knows you exist, and you got to somehow convince them to use your drywall company. What do you do?
I mean, that's what I did in the beginning. Is I would go into different places. I'd walk in and say, give me an opportunity. This door-to-door grinding. I mean, there's different things you can do. I mean, Angie's List is one thing. We don't use that anymore, but at the time, we would get on different things. Like, I can't remember the other one. There's like Home Advisor, where finding just getting there, just trying to get leads. And I mean, at that point, it's just grinding. It's just cold calling.
I kind of chuckle because I'm like, you just don't need drywall.
Yeah.
You need it to be painted, frame painted. What drives a person to just call you directly? Did someone else tell them you need a drywaller? Here's a guy, or they look you up in the Yellow Pages?
Yeah.
Or it's just kind of an interesting scenario.
Yeah. I mean, it was like we talked about a little bit. We tried to be clean. So, like I said, I would just walk in to different builders at the time. So it was really, at that time, it was more builders. It wasn't really homeowner direct. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of homeowners who will GC their own project, where they'll call the electrician, they'll call the plumber, they'll call the drywaller. So I mean, over time, people would just call us just for drywall.
So if you look at persona identification, the builder is my persona. So I need to go where the builders are. I'm not just making it up. So I'm going to go, where would a builder be? On site on a project. You go to places where there was construction happening. You're walking in and saying, do you need a drywaller? I'm willing to put myself out there. So I'm doing the things, getting out where they are, and then saying, use me. Do you like the person you're using? So it's guerrilla warfare. It's guerrilla marketing, because people think that, if I'm just great, people will just call me because I'm great, and it really doesn't work that way. It's getting that 20 hours of grinding is getting you in front of your people.
Yeah, when I first started, I remember I would drive down Lake Drive, and I just look at all of the signs of the different GCs that were doing a remodel, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this big of a job, but I didn't care. I still just, made a relationship, just called, hey, my name's John. I started a drywall business. This is what makes me different. We're clean. If you have, I don't know if I can handle anything right now big, but if you got little bathrooms, that's what I did. Is I just went to places where I knew that contractors were, and just cold called, stopped at their office. Let's sit down and talk.
Real estate companies?
Absolutely.
God bless you for doing bathrooms.
Yeah.
All right, so out of respect, out of respect for his time, I'm gonna just, to close it up, and I wanna tell you, thank you for doing this. Like, it just, hopefully you guys have gotten some good information about how to grow and scale your business. Like I said, I will give you guys his contact information, not his personal cell. Unless he tells me I can.
You can.
Okay, so I'll give you his personal cell. His personal email address, so you can, and just a really genuine guy, good-hearted person, great family, and so just thank you so much. Appreciate you, man, and just keep crushing it, man. It's so awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.